Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash. This is Ash Quest, and today we're going to be doing something just a little bit different. We're going to harken back to a simpler time when Games Workshop and Citadel Miniatures ruled the roost of dungeon crawlers with a little game called Warhammer Quest, and we're going to be unboxing one of the several character expansions that was available for this game back in 1995. This is the first of a series of, hopefully, eventually, all of the unboxings of character expansions. The Chaos Warrior is the first of this unboxing series and is the first character that I've obtained for Warhammer Quest, which is a game that I also have not played yet on this channel, but plan on doing so at some point in board game form. This expansion actually was released in the US and Canada and has retail prices here on the side. Legacy retail prices, this is $14.99 in 1995 money, which roughly translates to about 30 USD. Some of you might scoff at the idea of a character expansion costing this much, but actually when you see what all this comes with, you might have a different idea of what to expect from character expansions or what could have been. The Chaos Warrior is a complete warrior pack for Warhammer Quest. Looking at the back of the box of this second-hand product that I obtained on eBay, clad in heavy iron armor and wielding his mighty death-dealing axe, the Chaos Warrior is an inhuman killing machine. He is a fearless ally, a deadly fighter, and a powerful opponent to any who stand in his way. In this pack, you will find everything you need to play a Chaos Warrior in the Warhammer Quest game, including a rulebook, cards, counters, and a specially crafted Chaos Warrior Citadel miniature. We are given an overview of the contents in picture form here, which is lovely, so that you know exactly what you're going to be getting before you even buy the product, and a picture of what the mini could look like if you colored him, along with a coloring guide specifying colors, of course, from Citadel colors: bolt gunmetal, chaos black, skull white, brown wash, and the rest. This is not a complete game, of course, but a character expansion. My first question when seeing this, and if I had to guess, the first question that many of you might have when seeing this, is how could a Chaos Warrior be any sort of ally in any sort of game when Chaos Warriors and the entire Chaos faction were so bad and evil back in the days of Warhammer? Well, Chaos isn't quite defined necessarily as evil, although we may see their actions as being that way. A lot of what Chaos stands for is change, and that means, in many cases, to an extreme. But for those of you who might have critiques on, say, an Orc Bard in Hero Quest, the justification of a Chaos Warrior being an ally to the warriors in this universe actually more than could explain why an Orc would want to join the heroes in Hero Quest, and so that was something that I thought was very interesting. This came with a Ziploc bag that had the miniature inside, and I've since removed the miniature, but we're going to, before we do anything else, take a look at the miniature. This is the Chaos Warrior, and it looks like the previous owner started on a paint job. This is a metal miniature, by the way, and is quite an imposing size. This is a very fearsome looking Chaos Warrior. It is finely detailed. There are skulls, tiny skulls, there are flowing capes, there is fearsome armor, the classic Chaos Warrior helmet, and the humongous axe, which has a little bit of a bend in the very tip. That's fine. We can work that out. I actually think painting this would be a great idea. There is the text along the slot on the bottom of the mini that goes into the slot base, which is also included, by the way, separately. And it says Marauder. This is etched in by the manufacturer, so I'm not sure if this is a sculpt that is used for another line of products, perhaps. Setting the miniature aside, I'd like to show off the simplest things first. The Chaos Warrior token. Every hero in Warhammer Quest has a token that can be placed into a bag and then drawn from randomly to determine which hero is getting the short end of a stick in a given situation. This also comes with, of course, the Chaos Warrior's character card. And so here you can have all the stats of the Chaos Warrior. His wounds are 3d6. He can move 4, about the same as every other warrior really. Has a weapon skill of 4 and a ballistic skill of 5, a strength of 3, a toughness of 4 because of the heavy armor that he carries, an initiative of 3, and he can attack 1 time. And I say he, you can of course play the Chaos Warrior as a she, a they. The Chaos Warrior has the Mark of Chaos equipment card, which is included with this expansion. And the Chaos Warrior carries an axe for a weapon which causes 1d6 wounds plus his strength. A suit of armor giving him +1 toughness, which is noted in the parentheses up top, and escapes from pinning on a roll of 5+. The Chaos Warrior has special rules. See the back of this card for the Chaos Warrior special rules. And we have the enemy's weapon skill and to hit foe table at the bottom. This is just a reference chart, so if the enemy's weapon skill is a 5, for example, then you need to roll a 4 in order to hit the enemy on a single die. Flipping the card around, we see the special rules. And I'm not quite sure if that's stainage. I think it is. At first I was going to suggest that it might be a natural part of the card, but I think we do have just minor stains. That doesn't bother me at all. Gifts of Chaos. The Chaos Warrior starts the game with a number of special abilities and items. Before you start each adventure, roll a dice to see what these gifts are. You can roll a single d6, and on a roll of 1 to 3, you'll get 2 Chaos attributes and 1 Chaos artifact. On a roll of 4 to 6, you'll get 1 Chaos attribute instead of 2, and 2 Chaos artifacts instead of 1. The tables for generating Chaos attributes and Chaos artifacts can be found in the Chaos Warrior's Rulebook and on the card supplied. So, when creating your character, the idea here is to roll your d6 first in order to determine what you're going to start with. I rolled a 6, for example. That means I'm going to start with 1 Chaos attribute and 2 Chaos artifacts. Also, I would be rolling to determine my wounds, but we won't do that at this time. We might as well. We might as well. I have no reason not to. 6 wounds. What a terrible, terrible number. Of course, that just goes right along with everything involving me and Warhammer Quest together in the same sentence. So, if we take the Chaos Artifacts card, we can see what kind of items will be generated from that roll and additional rolls. But first, I want to look at the Mark of Chaos equipment card. The Mark of Chaos card represents the magical emblem which the Chaos Warrior has emblazoned on his flesh. The Mark of Chaos allows the Chaos Warrior to re-roll any single dice roll once per adventure. I would take this to mean once per dungeon delve, once per quest. But here you have the familiar Mark of Chaos. And just the word equipment on the back, so you can store this with your other equipment cards. It's, by the way, categorized in the text as a card, but it is a nice cardboard, more like a chit. Everything Warhammer Quest, though, is like that when it comes to the equipment cards. Next, the Chaos Attributes table. And we can look at Chaos Attributes on one side or Chaos Artifacts on the other. The Chaos Attributes, though, I rolled a 6, which means if I were hypothetically creating this character for the first time, I'm going to get 1 Chaos Attribute. Let's roll to see which one I would get, and then we'll take a look at the other ones that were available. It's a 2. That is here. 2. Arcane Knowledge. If the wizard, rolls a 6 in the power phase, the Chaos Warrior is overcome by dark, chaotic thoughts. Roll a d6. So, while playing, at the beginning of every turn is the power phase. The wizard will roll for power. And if there's not a wizard on the team, or if the wizard has expired due to Minotaur attack, not a problem. The remaining heroes will still roll for power, unfortunately. Usually, that will govern what kind of skills everybody on the team can use if they use some sort of magical ability, but especially the wizard. And it's especially bad if the wizard rolls a 1 during this phase. In this case, it affects not only the wizard player, but also the Chaos Warrior player because of the arcane knowledge. So if you roll a d6 after the wizard rolls a 1 during the power phase, and you get a 1 or a 2, the Chaos Warrior may do nothing this turn. Any opponents who attack him may add +2 to their 2-hit rolls. The Chaos Warrior returns to normal at the start of the next turn. This would be very bad. You have a 33% chance of this happening every single time the wizard rolls a 1 during the power phase, which happens so much more often than you might think. However, if you roll a 3 to 6 on that secondary die roll, the Chaos Warrior gains 1d6 initiative for the turn. He may also take 1 random spell card, which must be cast immediately. The spell is cast automatically. If it cannot be cast for any reason, it is discarded. So, this Chaos attribute, to me, it's inferred that this goes with this character and stays with them for the entire time that I have this character in play. If I create a new Chaos Warrior, then I'll roll for new Chaos attributes and artifacts. But for as long as I'm using this particular Chaos Warrior, I would keep these attributes and artifacts between quests. Now, just a look at the artifacts that I would have gotten, and I'll roll a d6 twice and reference this chart from 1 to 6 both times. So the first die roll is a 4, which means I get the Chalice of Night. Roll a dice at the start of the game. This is the number of attacks that will hit automatically this adventure. The Chaos Warrior may choose which attacks hit automatically. This is a great Chaos artifact to have. And the second one is a 3, which gives me something else that is amazing, the Lashing Blade. This weapon allows the warrior to strike opponents up to 4 squares away. That is an incredible weapon to have in Warhammer Quest. It means you could keep your distance and actually attack enemies from afar, or even attack enemies that you're not engaged with that are pinned down by heroes. So those are great artifacts to have. Let's take a look at the other attributes that I could have rolled though. One is Mindless. If the wizard rolls a 1 in the power phase, the Chaos Warrior turns into a mindless, babbling idiot. He has a weapon skill of 1 until the end of the turn when he returns to normal. This would be a pretty bad one to get. And if you were doing mulligans, there's no better Chaos attribute to mulligan on than this one. If I had rolled a 3, I would get Poisonous Bite. Once per turn, check this out, the Chaos Warrior may make a special bite attack in addition to his normal attacks. The bite attack is at -1 to hit and causes 2 wounds with no modifiers. The Chaos Warrior just lifts up his helmet, or perhaps his helmet opens up as if it were a pair of jaws, and sinks his teeth into the enemy. That's an insane thought to have, but it works out so well. Warp Magic, if I had rolled a 4. At the start of the game, randomly select 1 spell card, and the Chaos Warrior may cast the spell once during the adventure, and it works automatically. Warp Magic is something not to be trifled with, I tell you. If I'd roll a 5, I would have gotten the Chaos attribute of Teleport. Once per game, the Chaos Warrior may teleport instead of moving. He may teleport to any square on the board. When teleporting, he may ignore pinning rules. Remember the rules for being lost in the dark, though. And finally, Warp Frenzy. At the start of each new event that reveals monsters, roll a dice. On a score of 6, the Chaos Warrior is frenzied for the duration of the combat. While frenzied, he has 2 attacks, but is at -1 to hit. Is that worth it? You'll have to tell me, or perhaps we'll find out if we legitimately create this character in an upcoming game of Warhammer Quest. Let's take a look now at the Chaos artifacts. We could have gotten the Parrying Blade. This weapon reduces the attacks of one of the Chaos Warrior's opponents by -1. I wish they had put reduced by 1 instead of putting the dash there, because mathematically that doesn't work out, but it may be a convention of a different kind. I know from reading it what they mean. It's written vaguely. The Ring of Desolation. This ring allows the bearer to make an ice missile attack once per turn, in addition to any other attacks he might make. The Chaos Warrior must make a BS roll to hit. That's a ballistic skill. Any monster hit is frozen for the rest of the turn. While frozen, a monster may not attack or be attacked. The monster will return to normal at the beginning of the next turn. We already know about Lashing Blade and Chalice of Night. There is also Entrancing Blade. This blade has a hypnotic effect on monsters that are attacking the Chaos Warrior. Any monsters attacking the Chaos Warrior must roll a dice. If they score 6, they may do nothing that turn. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one with no downfall, no ill side effects. And finally, the Axe of Mighty Striking. Once per game, This weapon will cause 8d6 wounds. Toughness and armor may be deducted as normal. The Chaos Warrior must state he is going to make this special attack before he rolls the dice to hit. If he misses, the attack is wasted. At other times, the axe causes normal damage, though it does still count as being magical for purposes of supplementary rules. So far, this is shaping up to be a very solid character with 2 iterations possibly being extremely different between players who make one. So far, many players could make one of these and have wildly different chaos attributes and chaos artifacts. But that's not all. This comes with the Chaos Warrior Rulebook. And while we have a beautiful battle level table on the back that tells us how the Chaos Warrior levels up, it also explains a lot of the rules that can be applied to the base game, an advanced game, or the roleplay version of the game. And this is where I found a lot of useful information. I'm going to read some of this off verbatim. If I read the entire thing, it's going to take like an hour. It is very easy to digest this particular book, and a lot of it is used as reference just in case you get different treasures along your adventure. But a lot of it outlines like the lore of why the Chaos Warrior would want to join a party. So that's the part that I want to read off today because I think it's very relevant and it can help you determine how to introduce a character that previously thought was absolutely a villain in every sense of the word with no exceptions at all into a party of heroes. So listen carefully, brave heroes. Chaos Warriors are thought of as inhuman demonic killing machines. Men who have sold their souls for the pleasure of indiscriminate slaughter. Indeed, this is in some measure true, and there are those who are so blighted by chaos that they must fight eternally in the war host of their demonic masters, having forgotten and abandoned their humanity forever. There are many reasons why a man may turn to chaos, and many paths he may travel to serve the dark gods. Some are enlisted by sects in their hometown, following an inconspicuous trade by day and joining the coven by night, reveling in the dangerous pleasure of the forbidden. Others might be driven to follow the path of chaos through personal tragedy. Whatever the cause, desperation has often been known to drive otherwise upright individuals down the dark roads to depravity and change. Sometimes, soldiers of fortune, mercenaries, or freelances are inculcated into the ranks of those following chaos. In their case, the desperation is often more immediate. Perhaps they call out for salvation as their enemies close in on them for the kill, and all hope seems lost. Then, the powers of chaos may see fit to intervene and save the individual at a price. However, they have entered into their pact with the chaos powers. All chaos warriors have certain things in common. They have sold their souls to the lords of chaos and have glimpsed the possibility of immortality and power beyond dreams. Equally, they all know that there is no turning back. They are irrevocably damned. When the other warriors first meet the Chaos Warrior, the warping influences of his demonic masters may have already manifested themselves visibly, as marks on his flesh, twisted features, or in extreme cases, extra eyes, ears, fingers, or the like. If this is so, then the Chaos Warrior is likely to be very careful to conceal his true appearance when in the company of the warriors, wearing his armor at all times or keeping his features obscured by heavy cowls, furs, or robes. If the warriors knew his true nature, they would be unlikely to tolerate the Chaos Warrior's company, as they have more than likely faced his kind in battle in the past. Individually, though, many Chaos Warriors are not evil as such. They simply follow the different path from the rest of the world. Their objectives, urges, goals, and desires are often incomprehensible to any other creature, inevitably making these individuals outcasts in any society, other than with their own kind. Yet for a while, a Chaos Warrior will make a stalwart ally, a deadly fighter and a powerful opponent to any who stand in his way. His is a lonely path, and ultimately leads to the darkest realm imaginable. So there you go. That is a very telling glimpse into the origin and life of a Chaos Warrior, and kind of takes what we know about the Hero Quest Chaos Warriors and offers us a possibility to apply a different kind of lore to them if we so desire. One that frees them from the shackle of being controlled or directly commanded by Zargon or Morkar, and one where they are more a faction that has simply been won over by virtue of Zargon's chaos alignment. Now, this isn't Hero Quest by any stretch, this is Warhammer Quest, and so the lore and the rules are quite different. But there are additional considerations that I want to point out that this manual provides. So let us continue. Rules for Warhammer Quest. If you wish, you may replace one of the warriors from the Warhammer Quest game with the Chaos Warrior. Simply allow one of the players to choose the Chaos Warrior. The rules which follow explain how to use him in your games. Remember to put the warrior counter for the original warrior back in the box, replacing it with that of the warrior, the Chaos Warrior. Remember too that if there is not a barbarian in the party, then one of the other warriors will have to carry the lantern and be the leader. Bigger groups of warriors. This is important. If you want to, you can take more than 4 warriors into an adventure, adding the Chaos Warrior to the party of warriors. If you do this, you will have to make sure that there are enough monsters to go around. The cards and tables from the Warhammer Quest game are designed for parties of 4 warriors, and if you send 15 different warriors down a dungeon, then the game as it stands will present no challenge at all. As a general rule, stick to parties of 4 warriors, but if you have a party of 5 or 6, then increase the number of monsters by an equal proportion. For example, if you have 6 warriors in the party, this is 50% more warriors than the event cards are set up to deal with. In this case, you should make sure that each time monsters appear, there are 50% more of them. If the card says 1d6 orcs, roll the dice as usual and then multiply the result upwards to match the party size. So a dice roll of 4 orcs would become 6 orcs, and so on. In this manual is copied the explanation of the weapons, armor, the character creation, the gifts of chaos, the chaos attributes, and the chaos artifacts. But we also get an insight on Chaos Warriors and treasure. Chaos Warriors may keep any type of treasure. However, they may only actually use potions and non-magical treasure such as gold, fire bombs, flash powder, etc. All they can do with the rest is collect it for its gold value, which is totaled up at the end of the game. Of course, the Chaos Warrior may decide to sell some of his treasure to the other players if he wants to. Though, the Chaos Warrior cannot use magic treasure, he can of course use chaos artifacts. Now we have the section on advanced rules, and this interested me very much. Visiting settlements is an additional justification for how to use these villainous monsters in your game with your heroes. The Chaos Warrior is somewhat enigmatic, unusual character, and as such may cause suspicion and distrust when he visits a settlement. Sometimes the militia of a settlement will even throw the Chaos Warrior out of town. Of course, if he has any obvious signs of chaos, the likelihood of this happening increases tremendously. Whenever the warriors arrive in a settlement, the Chaos Warrior must roll a dice for every chaos attribute he possesses that is obviously manifest. These attributes are marked with a star in the following tables. If any of the dice comes up with a 1, then he is refused admission to the settlement. The Chaos Warrior may visit the following locations: the alehouse, any trader, the alchemist, and the Chaos Temple. He may visit the pit fighters' fighting school, but not the armory. He may visit the gambling den. He may not visit any other location at all. So you see, rather than send a militia after the Chaos Warrior with pitchforks and artillery, they are simply ejecting him from town. What can he buy? The Chaos Warrior can buy any items which are available to the barbarian, with the exception of missile weapons. He does not like missile weapons, preferring to dispatch his foes with his trusty blade. But he does have a ballistic skill. And now one of my favorite parts of this book, the Chaos Temple. In many towns, there are those who have rejected the accepted gods, the established religions, and have turned to other, darker forms of worship. These chaos cults are steeped in secrecy, as to be revealed as a follower of chaos is to be shunned, reviled, and often executed. However, the attraction of chaos is power and immortality, and there are usually the insane few who are willing to take whatever risks are necessary to gain the patronage of the chaos gods. Whenever he visits a settlement, the Chaos Warrior may attempt to find a chaos temple, to pray to his dark gods, and to make offerings and sacrifices to the altar that lies within. The Chaos Warrior must find the temple, just like any other special location in a town or city. He must spend 2d6 times 10 gold as offerings at the Chaos Temple, hoping to receive the attention of his dark gods. After paying the required gold, roll a d6 and consult the table below. So there is, of course, a result from 1 to 6, and some of these have sub-results. After you land on the number, there's a bit of a subsection that requires you to roll a dice again, as is the case with some of the other traits of creating the Chaos Warrior. You can gain chaos attributes this way. You can be completely ignored by the chaos gods, and you can also merge 2 chaos artifacts together. If you roll a 6, the temple reels and swirls as solid objects begin to mutate and change. Nothing is as it should be, and darkness claims all. The power of chaos is at hand, and the Chaos Warrior kneels before its mighty presence. You may then, if you choose, try to merge 2 chaos artifacts together so that their powers are joined into one single powerful artifact. If you wish to do this, select the 2 artifacts. They must be similar, such as hand-to-hand weapons or shields. Then, he places both artifacts on the altar and waits with eager anticipation. You then roll a die. In this way, you could lose an artifact, nothing could happen, you could gain an artifact, or the artifacts could actually merge together. You would cross them off your adventure sheet and write in the combined abilities of the new item, and it's a good idea to name the artifact, as it will no doubt become one of the Chaos Warrior's most trusted and treasured items, such as the Ogre Helm being merged with the Helm of Damon Sight. That will now become the Ogre Helm of Damon Sight. Now, if 2 items of armor are merged together, the toughness bonuses do not merge. Although the new shield, helm, or whatever has the special properties of both former artifacts, it retains the highest toughness bonus of the 2 former items. So, these merged items do not become additive in toughness, nor will they multiply in ability or characteristic. If you have 2 items which have double attacks, they can't be merged, but you'll have an item that has double attacks, and the toughness of whatever of the 2 items has more toughness. The battle levels work a little bit differently for the Chaos Warrior. In order to progress through the battle levels, the Chaos Warrior collects gold for the monsters he kills, just like any other warrior. His training is carried out at the Chaos Temple. However, his battle level table has certain important differences which require some explanation. The path through the battle levels for a Chaos Warrior is fickle and unpredictable. It may be the case that he doesn't gain increases in his characteristics, but it is equally likely that he'll be given a chaos gift by his patron power instead. An extra eye, poisonous fangs, or some other such reward. Sometimes he may gain both, and other times he may gain neither, instead being rewarded with a Daemon Blade or Chaos Armor. This means that unlike other warriors, 2 Chaos Warriors of the same level might be very different indeed. The only fixed benefits as he goes up through the battle levels will be some of his increases in wounds and the point at which he deals extra damage to his foes. Everything else, however, is unsure. So rather than gaining treasure in the traditional sense, the magical items gained by Chaos Warriors are gifts from their dark gods, many of which carry a curse as much as a blessing. So when gaining these chaos attributes, you'll be able to roll 2d6. You'll roll the first one and count it as the tens portion, the second one as the ones portion. So in this case, I would have rolled a 16 rather than a 7 because I have a 1 and a 6. And at a 16, I would have gained atrophy. The Chaos Warrior's flesh withers and ages. Roll a dice. With a roll of a 2, the warrior ages 10 years, losing -1 strength. So, very interesting. There's also an option that I could have gotten where the aging process is purely cosmetic, leaving the warrior looking somewhat haggard and ancient, yet not affecting his profile at all. Really interesting to see that. And just as explained earlier, there are stars marked where these gifts change the appearance of the Chaos Warrior and can have him kicked out of town. There are so many different things to gain here, from razor claws to scaly flesh to warp magic to alcoholism. The Chaos Warrior is taken with an insatiable desire for alcohol. His constitution is changed by the power of the chaos, such that anything he drinks is now turned to alcohol inside his stomach. Apart from any other effect potions have on him, there's a chance that they will also render him insensible. This goes up until we get all the way to the 66th possibility, which is warp change. So there's also a chaos artifacts table that follows the same thing, and there are up to 66 possibilities here. Now, of course, when you roll a dice, the lowest number that you can roll is a 1, and so if you're rolling 2 dice this fashion, the lowest number you're actually going to get is an 11. So there's not 66 possibilities, there are 56 possibilities, but still, this is a treasure trove of chaos artifacts and attributes that you can gain for your character in Warhammer Quest. Guys, I cannot think of a better character to start my Warhammer Quest expansion pack journey with, and I'm definitely going to be taking a lot of ideas from this for my own homebrew, both in Warhammer Quest, Hero Quest, and the like. Have you gained any inspiration from this today? Will you be injecting chaos into your games? And if you are playing contemporary Hero Quest, will you finally see how much sense it could make to have an orc in the party that likes to sing lullabies? No? Well, to each their own. Thank you all, brave heroes and chaos warriors alike, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for many more, and I will see you next time on Ash Quest. Bye for now.